Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Surge number 8. My name is Cherry J, joined by Mad Dante Killer. We are ready for some phenomenal Valorant actions. We get started. The Surge number 8 starts right now.
It does indeed be getting us through. We've got a lot of games to be getting through over the next couple of days, so we've got a lot of action and a lot of stuff to keep you all very much entertained. Of course, for anyone that did join myself, and it was Puffo Bob getting the kind of pre-show set up, getting the groups all set out. We are getting into the games already, so there's not going to be much wasting time. We are, of course, going to be following on bind. Let me just get it here. Rokaheat versus Enisorail, and that'll be for the first fight of Group
And Mad
N.
Dante Killer, I believe it was me and you getting to cast Rokaheat the other day, and we're right back at it as they join for another EVC tournament. And let's see whether or not in group of bracket they'll be able to find a victory as they come in as the number 78 seed taking on the 83 as Enisorail. We'll see whether or not they're going to have the firepower as we look towards these two teams. The double controller will be getting locked in for both, as well as the double duelist coming into fruition. Beyond that, no real changes besides the waylay for the Rays. We'll see how that kind of change in the duelist composition will inevitably opt into being able to find a victory.
Yeah, indeed. So it is Rokaheat on the defense right now, and then of course that means it is Enisorail on the attack. And for anyone that doesn't know here, any kind of names that maybe need to be brought up, we've got him currently hovered over at the moment. Chewy is a kind of a very common player in the Welsh scene, in the Welsh Esports League and different kind of organizations there. Casted him multiple times. He's always quite a strong controller player. This is the Rokaheat roster for the Surge, which if anyone also did follow the East qualifying, they ran a different roster for that. So interesting to see how those changes will come into fruition.
I think these are somewhat similar players, right? We have Swing God, Chewy, both same players, and I believe some of the other individuals were the same as before as well. I mean, obviously, Swing God, we saw them on the Neon earlier as well. A very strong performance from some of these players, as well as Swaz, who's coming on into the action as the Yoru. We do see the gate crash already, but as the action starting to be committed, it is Swaz to find one, looks for the second, the double kill from the respective duelists. Will give Enisorail a decent shot, but as Rose drops in, they get two. And there will be the ending as Hello picks it off. The first round one in the Surge number 8 as it goes the way of Enisorail.
Indeed, very clean attack from Enisorail there, and yeah, apologies for that. Chewy and Co are carrying over from the East Open qualifier. Apologies, was getting fed some different information that I'd taken the notes on. So yes, apologies for that, and thank you for Cherry for keeping me right. This is pretty much the same roster coming through, and the defense, unfortunately for them, Rose, just highlighting how effective Waylay can be. Again, a good mix of Jet and Raze in a single agent, and can make life very difficult for a defense, which is exactly what we're seeing, and the aggression coming through for them. There's one Viper waiting for them down. I don't know. DDK gets at least one. Swing God falls because of it. The snake bite goes down, and now the fight against this very, very aggressive commit while the spike's down all the way towards spawn. We'll see if Swaz can find anything yet.
Rain in, not able to make the connection onto the head, but the egoist from the opposite side dropping Moro to the ground, and it's already looking as if this round should be committed, right? This is a very, very impactful game one, right? This will set the tone for the rest of your season within the Surge number 8, and we know that these two teams are in a very competitive group as they've had to fight, tussle, and with so many players, so many teams still having to compete against them, these rounds will be the most impactful to start off. As there's what? Let me do math. There's 7 teams. Yeah, 7 teams within Group N.
Yes.
So really a lot of teams that you're gonna have to beat out if you want to be able to come and qualify up to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, no, there's quite a fight for these brackets here and for that higher up. So do not be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if we do see some bit of surprises, a bit of a kind of non-traditional setups, if it is just going to be to kind of make or break the difference. But for the meantime, it's Enisorail just very happy, just running along with it, no real concerns or flaws in their game plan at the moment. Clean, concise executes off the back of double Yoru or double duelist with Yoru and Whaley is an incredibly aggro composition to have.
Yeah, the whole point of this composition is we want to be fast and we want to be explosive as they keep their eyes on the site. That'll be the end-all execute for this roster. We come into round number 3. They go for a bit of a lower buy, looking to invest a little bit as they take a Vandal onto Hello, looking to put the pressure onto the opposition of this Rokaheat rosters. We do see the blind side coming on in. The gate crash gives them a bit of extra speed, but unfortunately, the team will be accidentally dropping the saturate onto themselves. As now Ego is looking to take the first peek, we do see Rose, the one to be able to take the ult orb. The convergent paths gets a little bit higher, as now the site execute does seem to be coming on in as Egoist drops the first blood, looking to make this game even better. Swing God in such a precarious situation, though unlikely to be expected here.
Just hiding towards the left side. We're seeing the blind side. We're seeing the Yoru clone first out, but that means the shot has been forced out. His position has been given away. Rose pushes in with the stinger. Doesn't quite get the backup immediately. The paint shell's at least doing a good job slowing down this attack, but 2 players out of showers at the moment. The bomb now just about to get planted down. Ticking away now as the retake comes through. Basically everyone on site, so not too much of a concern there. Some kind of warning shots being fired by Chewy, but he gets the shot in the end. It's a good use of the flash. And now the economy here. Beautiful hold from Hello. He's going to have to find another one. He does, actually. Moro getting cut off from the team by that snakebite usage there. Phenomenal utility. And Hello with only one HP left. It doesn't matter. The crossfire is good. And it is going to force Moro out. And Enisorail, 3 very quick rounds.
To show, right? This is the domination that Enisorail is putting up, right? They had that decoy. They brought it out of showers. Found out Swing God as they peeked in. We're a little bit caught off guard by the fact that that decoy was so well timed, and that brought the shots out. After that, the peek was nice. They were able to secure the kill. Then, despite that, it still was looking okay for Rokaheat as they brought back 2 players coming on in from the right side of the A site towards showers. But unfortunately, despite finding that equalization, we look towards Hello, who is playing in a very awkward angle that's extremely difficult to be taken off, as you have a good timing towards the spike. You're able to get a good angle off, as well as that, just generally, there's a lot of space to play in when you're as Hello. You have that steam beacon, you have so many options, and when your opposition has already dropped in a lot of their mollies, a lot of their flashes, there wasn't a whole lot of utility to take you off of that angle. That's an issue if you are Rokaheat. You have to be more conservative when it comes to having to play the retake. If not, you're going to be in a bit of a desperate situation.
Oh, and speaking of desperate situation, Ego is putting Roka in there of quite a, well, aggressive but pretty typical engage for showers. But when your economy's struggling like Roka's is, and when Enisorail is able just to walk away and continue to build that up, there's already a Viper down for Roka. That's a big deal. Your Seize is gone, your Haunt is gone. Nightfall would be gone if had online, but not just yet. But we are going into the 4th round, nearly even the 5th, depending on how these next couple of seconds go. So those ults are going to start to come online. They are going to start to be a big factor in the first engagement into Garden. It's Swaz versus IDDKE. The first frag goes well, but the refrag there is exactly what's necessary. The gun advantage really showing to be the dictator between life or death here. The lurk as well on towards Sand and towards Hook. If you look at where the fade is, the timing here, pretty solid as the spike drops. Chewy's gonna fall. Now Swing God, the last man standing.
Great-ish idea, right? If you're Enisorail, it looked a little bit unfortunate for them as they had to walk into a close-range corridor against a team running Sheriffs, right? It's a bit of a 50-50 if they could find the kills, find the damage, and they were able to get it done completely. As now Enisorail going to be peeking forward. The damage goes in. They're able to spray. And Hello will be able to end it as a team ace comes out. Enisorail picking up 2 ultimates now and looking phenomenal. They're hitting the gas button. And Rokaheat, despite winning out in so many games in the East Surge Open, they're having a very difficult time taking this game on bind.
Yeah, Rokaheat did a very solid job up in the East Open qualifier, getting all the way up to the semi-finals. Unfortunately, just barely losing out to Samo Genai. That was the last game that I believe this roster have played, or the last series, I guess I should say, the roster have played in. So getting this type of performance here would be a big deal for them. It's not working out at the moment. Egoist trying his best, rushing it down, not respecting the haunt, and Swing God advises him exactly what the consequences of those actions will be. A nice shot that finally goes the way to Roka and might be the start of them getting something on this board.
Towards A site, though, it still will be Rocky trying to have a prediction. A little bit of information coming out, though, if you are on the Enisorail roster, right? They have the idea. Lots of players still jumping up, forward, peeking, looking good. As Rokaheat now just going to have to try to play the defense well as we look towards the space that they take over towards Shower. That could be very volatile as they found the first kill. They're looking to try and get a bit more information, possibly. But as Rokaheat takes space, they're going to have this prediction. The B site looks to be the end all as 3 players now loom over here. The engagement comes out. Moro going to be hit by the orbital strike, unable to fall. Never mind, they get down instantly as they get cooked right up by the ulti. As now it's a 4v4. Enisorail completely brings it back after taking down Moro.
Yeah, that waylay into orbital strike really just kind of broke apart Rokaheat's defense. Look at how quickly it went from someone holding elbow to everyone on this back line. No other position, no other control. And it allows the refrags, it allows the positional advantage just to be completely capitalized off of. The ult as well from the divergent paths used by the waylay keeps Chewy out of any sort of angle as well. So now it's just Rose and Co able to sit. And yeah, you can't really afford to walk onto a site with an op with that many angles needing to be cleared. A 3 versus 1 and impossible standards to Chewy, just walking away with the op. But the guns aren't what's making the difference for Roka right now. They've had 2 full buys, at least with the economy very much kind of at least equalized, if not in their favor, and that's not the difference maker for them. It's something else they're going to have to try and find if they want a fighting chance in this half, or let alone this game.
We are going to be seeing Chewy able to convert the operator into the next round. We'll see whether or not that's going to be able to prove fruitful as the rest of the team. We look towards this buy. It's very disparaging as everyone going to be going for these sheriffs. This Bucky as well could possibly be able to make something happen in the hands of Moro. But it's definitely not going to be an easy game to be able to come back from, as a 6th round definitely does seem to be in the works.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, sometimes, though, we've seen a lot of thrifties come through. Sometimes that forces the positional kind of misplays, the angles that are slightly different. So, not going to be the case this time. Rose with just a beautiful swing and a headshot in. Very aggressive push. The Chosen One trying to back up his teammate, but Ego is just happy to shut him down. No concerns there. And this low buy, while you usually don't have too many high hopes, it doesn't look like there's any hopes at all right now. A beautiful flash. It doesn't even catch Swaz. Rose doesn't care about that. And a 2 versus 5 retake with not much utility or guns in your hands. Yeah, sixth round to Enisorail, looking just a matter of time.
Just fishing for shots, unable to make any connections as both players sitting towards CT, looking nice, but Enisorail still only going to drop a single player as Rose down. Will still remain the rest of the team up, as it's looking very, very good. Enisorail, they drop the operator instantaneously at the start of the round, and unfortunately the fade for Rokaheat, right? We look towards the Chosen One. Instead of opting to take the operator and back up, they still try to contest a main, and that just led to another player dropping. It was a bit unfortunate, but now Rokaheat, they do have the economy to buy up rifles for each and every individual. We'll see what this will be able to connect to, whether or not they'll finally be able to take a round. At this point, though, you really do have to stem the bleeding ASAP. But with this contention over towards mid, it could look good as Rokaheat picks up the first blood. We've seen this from them before. Unfortunately, last time it did not convert into a round win. This time it could change up a little bit.
Yeah, that's the plan. Roka need now to work with something. They have the ults to do it as well. Nightfall, Dimensional Drift, always quite a solid combo to allow the teleport to kind of come off without a hitch. But Swing God doesn't have the utility to try and get him to cross, and that type of strat might work in, your immortal lobbies even, but we've got teams here that really want to go for the gold. Again, it's $2,500, $1,500 for first place, $1,000 for second place. No commiseration for third place, no consolation prize at all for them. So everyone here are going to be trying their absolute damnedest, and yeah, crossing into an off line of fire without any smoke, any backup. We've seen what that does too.
That's looking good. Ego is picking, but unfortunately they drop. As Moro's still looking nice, it is going to be remaining on the site. The Haunt able to make the connection, and it will be a Viper on Viper action. The round looks good for the Enisorail roster as they take it back. Space will be able to find the kill, and now the AP will be brought on in. Nobody remains in the A site. Rokaheat, couple ultimates, but the Nightfall is available. If they're able to call out this Brimstone isolated, it could make something happen. They're able to detect no one CT, but they still get the kill. They isolate the first, looking to restart. Nightfall comes online, able to get the shots off. 1 for 1 does seem to be the action, but it's good for Rokaheat as the chosen one drops in the kill, takes the spike down, and finally puts Rokaheat on the map.
It's a big deal, but this map is incredibly defender-sided. Could possibly be the most defender-sided once the map changes come through. Of course, for anyone that doesn't know, we will be playing on the old maps for the purposes of the Surge, just because obviously it's a bit unfair to kind of throw the teams on to the newer maps. At least that's currently the consensus. If that does change, we'll get an update. But for the moment, all the kind of pre-patch maps, because yeah, it'd be a bit unfair to throw the teams into them.
I mean, it's looking really, really nice as Morrow has made it all happen. They were able to pick up a triple kill last round, and especially when we saw that first blood coming out, it looked as if Enisorail was finally going to fall, and it happened just as one would have hoped for, as now the Lightspeed trying to get out of the range of Swing God on this rocket launcher. They've inputted themselves heavily. However, it does seem like they may fall as Egoist is able to drop them off the board. A tragic strike as the showstopper, unable to make any value come off of it.
Yeah, scary stuff, and that's a 1 for 1 plus an ult as well. I think if you're happy, if you're the attackers, especially if you're able to pick up these 2 frags as well. Now, 1 for 1, 2 players alive, so Enisorail understanding that likely the most they have to play is a 2 versus 4. The Brimstone smokes come down, the push-off hookah is going to come through as the C's and everything drops. Swaz, though, good angle at least to dodge as much utility as possible, but there's just too much for him to deal with as a single man. Not able to get the control through, so the spike will get planted down to likely convert a 7th round for Enisorail here. The timing not great for Hello. Just walks by the chosen one, so at least a commiseration frag will come through. Maybe a second as well. The Odin not quite working out for space, but Rose eventually shuts that down and gets the 7th round for Enisorail.
If you're on Enisorail, the economy is no longer really an issue, so they're definitely not going to be too unhappy with the 2 deaths that they did receive. If you look towards the economy, even if they lose this round, they'll still be able to buy for the next 2. And it's definitely looking very, very strong. Rokaheat, this is the round they're really going to convert it, right? They're going to look to try and play retake more likely than not, as they have this Viper's Pit that will likely be forced out onto B long, as well as that they have the Orbital Strike, they have the Dimensional Drift, very good ultimates when it comes to being able to flush out enemies and being able to sort out and scout vision. We'll see what they do end up opting in for, but Rokaheat, the aggression that they show towards B long could be volatile. There is going to be an isolated 1v1 for this Brimstone, but the Viper's Orb does come out, able to give them a little bit of space. Now Swing God going to be spotting out some shots, unfortunately not able to connect. Egoist, however, drops in the first as Chewy gets taken aback.
It's a big first frag, and yet again, it goes the way of Enisorail. You can't really afford much to give away at this late stage. The ult's already not looking much. Well, the ult's the only thing really looking in your favor, but losing your one of your controllers so early on is going to be an absolute shot in the knees to try and get this hold through. No orbital strike allowed. So really the only piece of utility to kind of prevent the spike now getting planted is the snake bite, but likely possibly could be used to prevent a push through. Will not be relevant, of course, if it's on the other site. 3 people committed to the B site. It's a bit of a risk. It's a bit of a call for Rokaheat to try and make this work. It's a good first shot for Swing God. He has to do a bit more, and that is something more at the very least. Excellent use of the satchel. Gets himself out of worry there. Manages to as well dodge the snake bite and keep the control with the paint shells as well. Buying a lot of time, actually, for the Rokaheat roster there. Exactly what is required of him as the Dimensional Drift and Prowler both coming through. The information has been given. Swing God trying to dance around to get all the timing in the world off of it. 2 versus 1 now from the heaven position. It's going to come through. The shots continue to find their mark. Swing God onto 4. Space now having to try and find it, but the chosen one's good for it. A phenomenal retake.
How on earth do you make that happen? Rokaheat in a sight hold from the A It was all up to Swing God with a sheriff in hand, had to take down 2 rifles, and did exactly that. Afterwards, we saw the engagement onto space, on site, took that one as well, finding 3, then makes their way on out, looks to flush out the retake, and absolutely demolishes their opposition in lamps. Instantaneously, they pick up a 4K, winning the round for the team. Even when it got rough, they were able to use the blast back, get out of harm's way, pick up a phantom, do it all, and Enisorail had no way of being able to punish.
Turns out whenever you've just got a sheriff that can land shots like that, or at least a duelist behind the sheriff that can land shots like that, not as big a concern. Swaz being pushed out of that angle early just due to the utility coming through from Enisorail. We've seen this angle from Moro try and work out as much as possible here. The bullet's not going through anything. The snakebite at least is enough to follow it up regardless of the rest of the bullets not quite finding their mark. Snakebite can follow suit, and Swaz follows suit as well into the grave. No further control, and seems like Rokaheat really relying on this one flank from the Rays before they push through, but maybe not even. It's just going to be maybe aiming for exit frags at the moment. Very tentative steps being taken, and that seems to be the outcome. Never mind, the Nightfall is being pushed through. The ults are trying to be made work, but there's still a lot of positions that Swing God and Co have to get through. Using the distraction, it's actually worked out perfectly. 4 frags for them, and now just one man standing, but he seems to be fighting back.
Yeah, unfortunately, the low HP will be capitalized upon as a 4K from IDKE. They bring this round back from almost losing it all. It was a 3v5, but Rokaheat did not care. They invested their orbital strike, they invested their Nightfall, were able to find massive value as Swing God went through the flank in long, and it just completely paid out dividends. They utilized the pressure and took advantage. Enisorail was almost in a rough spot, but thankfully, due to the Viper, they were able to close it out in the end. Now it's going to be looking rough if you're on the Rokaheat roster, as they're down to another low eco buy. The stinger from Moro should be nice as they drop 2 players over towards Hookah. That could possibly be able to call somebody out later within this game. Right now, though, A is the end-all sight. Lots of smokes come up, looking to put the operator in Swing God's hand onto a nice angle. But his Egoist has a little bit of a shot towards the feet. Potentially won't matter as Swing God picks up the first.
If you're not fast, you're last. A big opening frag as well. Takes out the gate crash, takes out the flashes for Enisorail as well, which is a big deal to try and get some of the waylay executes down. It's not been too necessary so far for this roster, but it could be relevant later on. But it's a beautiful crossfire played by Moro, and Swaz not able to get the 2 frags necessarily, but a lot of damage done. So still decently happy with that as the Chosen One now very much kicked down into the space, or sorry, not the Chosen One, a space kicked down, not too much HP, alive as the showstopper in the smoke. Swing God trying his best to survive, gets himself stuck on a raise, or a fade, sorry, but I don't think he's realized that's what's happened. Still able to get the frag, but the spray down from space is just so clean. The patience, the timing works out flawlessly, and the spike down as well as we get onto the last round.
Space died to that second player, right? They were able to shut down Swing God, and then taking the second angle, even if they fall, they have that waylay of Rose, who is in the position to be able to find that trade instantaneously. Stellar work from the Enisorail rosters. They were able to find this round despite losing the first player. Swing God with the operator able to shut down Hello, and it just looked really, really nice. And even despite that, they were able to be facilitated, right? Rokaheat, they forced out the rotation by dropping the information that the operator was towards the A site, making the side of Enisorail think that the B site could be the end-all option. But with 2 players still waiting towards B, it was Moro with a stinger in hand to be able to utilize the best arsenal possible for that low range situation, as now Swaz going to be pushed back into B long, or into B elbow. They're no longer going to be able to get on an angle to fish for shots, as we see the Viper's pits getting exchanged from both teams. This is really going to be able to favor Rokaheat.
Yeah, they get to push themselves on, and they very much have planned themselves around a full retake. As you can see, no other space, no other control really being held, no presence being made before they just pushed in. And IDDKE at least is on for 1. Rose with the backup there, but the trades are coming through either way. The rest of the team, though, look at the position. We've got 1 guard and 1 hookah, and 1 all the way over on this flank, and that is space on it. So if he can just get the timing, before this. The first tap of the spike goes down. His Space's flank actually has been read, but Hello has been working off the dimensional drift from his teammate. Now 1 versus 1. Fake TP, the blind side comes through, doesn't swing off of it, actually immediately gets the call that Swing God is going to come off the spike and takes his head off his shoulders while he's at it. Beautifully played. And a 10-2 on attack half for Enisorail.
Doing it all right now, as now they move on to the defensive half, debatably the better half on Bind, as it's relatively difficult to be able to execute out of the B site, as going out of hookah leaves so many exploitation options for the defensive side. They're likely going to be able to put that Viper right onto the angle on the opposite side of the map. There is going to be 3 players from this Enisorail team dropping down. Egoist opting in, electing to take a sheriff into the round. Certainly could be an interesting idea to invest into this as they take long-range gunfights from heaven. It could work out. Never mind, they want to have 3 players taking control over this teleport. And if Rokaheat gets forced into dropping the TP from the B site, this could become instrumental to finding early success.
It could indeed. Space being forced now to try and hold this B site garden. The smokes are down already. The siege has been thrown, but looks to be a pretty aggressive hold from Rokaheat. They weren't able to get too much on the defense. We'll see if the offense changes that tune. The paint shells go through, clear out the little angle towards that cubby on the left side as the paint shells go through. The execute looks to be happening, but IDK first on the kill feed, and it's his entire team to follow him up. Swaz the only gap in the frags, just all clean, all shots landing. Rokaheat just walking into the mincemeat grinder that is the B side.
Enisorail looking like they are going to be contenders for the championship of the Surge. Number 8, they've been completely dominating Rokaheat so far, and when you're talking about a team that is as decorated as the Rokaheat roster, it certainly does beg the question of how much more will this Enisorail team be able to complete within this season, as this roster certainly has been firing on all cylinders within the map of Bind. And coming on through, shots go in. Egoist picking up the first as they look for the second. The gate crash, too slow this time. But Enisorail, they are still able to find the 1-for-1. Unfortunately, as the Egoist falls, looking to try and loom within the smokes. Hello, going for a risky position, understanding their opposition, invested heavily. The Incineroar are able to burn a little bit, but Spike goes down. 1, 2, fall, as Hello about to drop down to the Incineroar, but still stays alive. Rokaheat, 2 players remain in a 4v2 situation. The refract comes out, but it still will be Moro to take advantage. The sheriff in hand looks spectacular.
Yeah, it does, but can he get the angle? Can he save his teammate from Hello? He's managed to lurk around lamps absolutely perfectly. No flaws, no notes necessary as IDK then finishes off his counterpart. And yeah, I mean, Hello managing to dance around those smokes, play them to perfection, dodge the molly despite being seized as well. And that visual cue is there, so maybe a small mistake from Rokaheat or just a little bit of a kind of overlooked detail that they didn't quite capitalize off of, but Hello certainly managing to do it. And we're already, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pretty quick game so far. Match point for Enisorail. They need 1 more. Meanwhile, Rokaheat needs all 10 of these, and the economy not particularly favoring them after this round. We'll see how it goes for them. That's if they even win.
Oh, they dodged the Prowler.
Oh, he does it again. He does it again!
You can't be letting them get away with this. Enisorail getting out scot-free, only going to be dropped to 120 HP. And now as they still stay alive, the judge still stays alive as well. Space, however, going to be able to shut down Chewy, and it's another kill. Looking to end this all right here, right now. The first round of the Surge, number 8, may just be off the board as Rokaheat down to 2 players.
Now trying to fight your way through short. Can you make it? There's 2 players just staring at you. The trade's at least good. But Moro, just look at these jaws that are coming to close in all around you. Your position's been found and it's going to be confirmed now. There's a Viper behind you. It's never mind. It's Hello to take you down. The judge absolutely clean with it. And I mean, as polite as you can say, and as much as we wanted to say, it was a good game to watch, but very clear, I think, showcase of which team had kind of the better skills and the better executes and
I mean,
plays.
it just looked so. Yeah, it just looked so good, right? I thought we were going to a break there, but no, that's just a phenomenal transition screen we got going for us. Mad Dante, look at this scoreboard. Hello, coming in as the match MVP as 17-7. A
Mm.
amazing performance coming in from the Brimstone of this roster. As on the other side, Swing God, obviously the MVP. I mean, overall, we saw the 2 rounds. One of them strictly won because of Swing God over in Showers with the Sheriff in hand, able to translate it over to a Phantom, picking up a quadra kill on the round. Certainly, Swing God was a phenomenal playmaker for this team, but overall, I'm looking towards Egoist. I'm looking towards Rose, Space, IDDK with our phenomenal clutch earlier within the series as well. Everyone on this team looks like they're going to be top tier players within the Surge, and I'm just waiting to see who's going to be the next one within future rounds of this tournament.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they're definitely a team to look out for with that performance. Of course, we are first round in the best of one, so there's still a lot of games to be going through. A lot of kind of maybe notable names to show up. A lot of kind of interesting tidbits to find out at the moment. But I mean, yeah, based on those stats there, when your controller is going like highest performing kills in the lobby, and I think one of the lowest in the entire server as well. I mean, that's pretty indicative of how strong the performance is, especially on Bind, where your controllers are so important. That additional controller needs to work off of the Viper incredibly well. So, very nicely done to Enisorail. Unfortunate for Rokaheat. We'll see if they're able to still, get themselves any points to maybe get themselves into the brackets. But yeah, very, very solid stuff.
That is just going to go to show and how much these 2 teams have been able to find themselves, right? The new updates within Valorant did change a couple of these characters, especially that Brimstone, I believe Viper as well. Also, no, Viper did not get changed yet. They're thinking about doing a Viper change, but that
Mm-mm.
still has not come out. But it just goes to show, right? Despite a couple of adaptations with how these characters have been able to perform recently, they're still going to be on top, right? Rokaheat, unfortunately, going to be going down, but we know they have that potency to be able to get back up. We'll just have to wait and see because future rounds, we have one more on the docket, and hopefully that will be better. Let's just see. Let's just see. Have we gotten anything? Nope, we have not. But we're going to go to a quick little break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more rounds within the EVC Surge number 8 just after this.